We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
This crusade, this war on terrorism, is going to take a while.
We came, we saw, we died.
We tortured some folks.
You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty.
All right. We are back. It is episode 9 of Dave versus Goliath. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been a hell of a week. I got some serious Libertarian Party inside baseball today. I have a very special guest. He's a local friend of mine. He is the former chair of the Libertarian Party of Delaware. His name is Sean Goward. Sean, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you doing, Dave?
Dude, I'm doing surprisingly well for all the drama that's been happening in the party this week. And as I just said, you're recently retired from the party, and you were kind enough to come back and provide some guidance in this time where I feel like we could all use it. And
sure.
I'm very grateful for that, man. We've you and I we've crossed paths quite a few times over the past couple years, and I really do respect you, man, and what you've done. And again, thanks for coming back to talk it out with us.
Oh, not a problem. The only thing I'm missing here is some chicken and waffles from Wheelie's Farm Stand Cafe, man.
Oh, dude, please come by and let me make that happen for you anytime, dude.
Oh, absolutely. I'll bring Tara up with me.
That would be great, man. Yeah, we had a good time at the convention last year, didn't we? Or excuse me, not the convention, at the Jorgensen rally, I should say.
Oh yeah. No, that was amazing. It was
good, right?
It was an awesome event. I'm impressed at the efforts that our folks here in Delaware put forward to put that on. We're obviously grateful to our gracious host, and watching the Jorgensen team in action was phenomenal.
It was really great, man. That's where I met probably everybody except you for the first time.
Right.
So that was really special. I was really honored to be able to do that. I had enough space in the lot for her bus, so that was really what sold it. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge getting Spike Cohen's bus parked down on the green in downtown Dover, but we made that happen too. That's great, man.
Yeah. We just got to hang out with Spike for 3 days. He came to little old Delaware again with Tasha, and that was really wonderful, man. He's a great guy. I got to spend some quality time with
Spike.
him.
You can't find better people than Spike and Tasha.
Yeah. He was the last guest on this show. I can't believe that I got to make that happen somehow. But we had a good talk.
Yeah.
Leading up to the convention, and I'm a huge fan.
Yeah,
man. The party's lucky.
You guys are in the Libertarian big leagues now.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's pretty much all you have to do, right? Get Spike going on. You heard that.
That's right.
So I gotta say, man, not to get right into it, but one thing was missing from our convention this year, and that was you.
Yeah, and I felt bad about missing it, but I think I kind of torqued off a lot of board members by kind of ducking out prior to the convention, and it just with a lot of the Delaware drama that's been going on, it didn't feel appropriate for me to kind of show up and aggravate things any more than they were already aggravated. So I took a deep breath, stayed home, did some work on the house, drank some scotch, and hope for the best. And I think all things considered, even in my absence, we've got a good group of people for this next state board, and I think we're going to see some great things from the Libertarian Party of Delaware in the future.
I think you're right, man. And you were missed there. You did resign from your position about a month and a half before our convention. So let's talk about that a little bit, man.
Sure.
Because you seem like, to me, somebody who could get along with
just
someone
about
regardless
everybody.
of caucus. Yeah, exactly. So, in fact, I've seen some of my critics in the party speak very highly of you. So, can you said that when you left, I guess, the way that you did, that ruffled some feathers. So, did you lose some friends over that?
I'm hoping I didn't, but I think that it's going to take some time to let the dust settle, and hopefully by the time it's all said and done, we can all come back together and sing Kumbaya. I mean, yeah, it's trying to do the principled thing is seldom an easy thing to do, and I mean, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I found in my short time in electoral politics, even in a small third party. Man, I'm shocked, to be frank, about some of the behavior, the maneuvers, what people will say to get things done. Especially, let's go back a little bit, man. You and I met about 4 years ago at around the time of the inception of the Mises Caucus.
Yep.
You and I and David Hines, who's on the executive committee of the LPMC, we met at a local restaurant and we talked about what we thought maybe was missing, what you thought. You were, again, I believe state chair at the time, and you were trying to grow the party. So you were just looking for new energy, kind of regardless of where that was coming from, I imagine.
Oh, sure. Right. Absolutely. And, philosophically, I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I'm an agorist. So anything that we can do, either within the party or outside of the party, to kind of make the state obsolete and make it easier to get rid of, I'm all about it. So, one of my goals as chair was to grow the party, to grow activism in the state of Delaware. And when I was asked by folks from the Mises Caucus, I'm like, yeah, come on in. I'm not gonna. I'll give you the same thing that I'd give anybody from any other caucus. If you're a libertarian, if you agree on the non-aggression principle, let's do this.
Right. It should be pretty easy, just like that, right?
It should be.
Yeah. So you're saying that we didn't strike you as an alt-right infiltration pipeline between anti-Semitism and the Libertarian Party. That didn't grab you like that?
It's hard for me to reconcile, an alt-right, anti-Semitic, racist group getting folks like Maj Tour and Spike Cohen to come and speak for them, to endorse folks like that and to get them involved in the party. So, it's unfortunately, I think, within the party, people are trying to hang, some of the past statements of people from the Austrian school around the necks of caucus members without context, without actual justification. And, I've seen claims that the MC is collectivist, but if we're treating all the Mises Caucus members as a single group of people who are racists and bigots, or bigots, isn't that collectivist in and of itself?
Yeah, it sure is.
Dude, everybody's an individual, So, until somebody gives me a reason not to be able to work with them, I can work with anybody.
Yeah. Again, that sounds incredibly reasonable, and that's usually where I feel like people who aren't involved in party politics tend to be. Like, until you prove something otherwise to me, I'm going to take you at your word that you're not a Nazi. Is that, right. I feel like I walked into my first meeting that I chaired with Birkenstocks on, and I stared the guy in the face at the end of that meeting and said, look me in the Birkenstocks and call me alt-right again. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'll tolerate so much, man. You can call me an asshole. You can say you don't like my caucus. You can say Mike Heiss, whatever. Other than this, call us dickheads. Call us assholes. That's fine. I won't even bother with you because we have work to do. Once you cross that line, and there's like 5 or 6 words that people throw out when they're just like, they're Hail Mary words. Then I got a serious problem about working with you, taking you seriously, considering you a good actor. That's where I'm at, man. We've made a little bit of progress, I'd say, after the convention, but it was really tumultuous leading up to that. And
I think a lot of that is just a product of growth. I think our great and glorious leader Nick Sarwark put something up about politeness being the social lubrication of society. And, anytime you get, 2 things moving next to each other, you're going to get friction. And so you got to find a way to ease that. And I mean, with the Delaware drama, I don't think there were any innocent parties, but I wasn't involved with the Mises Caucus. I didn't have any sway over them. As the state chair, what I did have sway over was the state board and our party leadership. And I tried to set examples and standards for professionalism. And, I think we kind of fell short of that a little bit. So,
Well, if it's cool with you, man, that's a really good time, I think, to revisit this letter of resignation. Would it be all right if I read this?
Sure, please.
Cool. Dear fellow libertarians, on Monday, April 26th, with long consideration and a heavy heart, I resigned my position as chair of the Libertarian Party of Delaware. I owe it to each of you to provide an explanation of my reasons, as I will not be conveying the state of the LPD at the 2021 convention. When I sought the nomination for chair in 2017, my stated priorities were to grow the party, get more candidates on ballots, improve our support for candidates, mentor future leaders, and advocate for libertarian principles. Over the last 4 years, it has been my sincere honor to work with the state board in overcoming challenges that, at their worst, have threatened the existence of the LPD as we know it. Since wrapping up the Jorgensen-Cohen campaign, though, the board and I have held diametric and mutually exclusive views on the path forward for our party. While growth is a seldom painless process, it is best undertaken by nourishing new relationships and creating an environment that respects basic dignity, past experience, and the ingenuity and enthusiasm of our newest members. When we take the proprietary approach to an organization over which we are only stewards for those we represent, we close off communication with and marginalize those who approach us to offer their time, money, and effort. Certain members of our board have actively taken this proprietary approach, and others have condoned it with their silence. Of those who have taken a more aggressive approach against our new members, one has taken deliberate steps to censor and silence them, abusing the authority granted them by the board and violating the principles on which we have built this party. While I have tried to address these issues, the silence of the other members and the board have made it clear to me that I cannot address these problems adequately, nor can I suffer my conscience by continuing to chair a board that is intent on continuing down this path. It is my sincerest hope that at the 2021 state convention, that members of the LPD will elect a board that actively promotes principled growth and creates an environment where all of our members feel safe to express their ideas, bring them to their representatives, and volunteer themselves and their precious resources to the cause of spreading the message of liberty. Because if we don't, we will endure a legacy of mediocrity and continue to struggle under the boot of a bloated and outmoded government. Yours in liberty, Sean Goward. Sean, that was beautiful, man. First of all, it's still really sad to me that you had to write that. but I'm so grateful for it, dude. Thank you for just saying, I mean, again, you should have been at the convention. You should have been able to ride this out. You should have been there with everybody as a unifying figure as he decides to leave, right?
Right.
We were all not afforded that. You should have gotten that. But, you know, I always look for the silver lining, man, and that was really important, what you wrote.
Sure.
So thank you.
Absolutely. And that's a thing that one of the ideals about libertarianism that I value a lot more than I see in other parties, with very few exceptions, is that we're willing to, you know, call out our own when we see things not going right. You know, we have no problem airing our dirty laundry. And, you know, like I said, the situation after the Jorgensen-Cohen campaign, you know, a lot of our volunteers kind of came out of the Mises Caucus closet, and all of a sudden it became a problem. And I just, like I said, I had no input into, you know, what the members of the Mises Caucus said or did or anything like that. But we're a professional political party here in Delaware. We're the fourth largest in Delaware, third largest in the nation, and we have a responsibility to our membership to treat everybody with a certain level of dignity and respect. And I think to a large extent, you know, some of our members let their passions overrule their reason. And, you know, it's sad, but, you know, I tried to throttle them back quite a few times over 6 months over the cell phone, over, you know, social media and our Discord, over Signal, you know, whatever means I could do to kind of herd the cats. You know, I tried to keep it in check, but it got to the point where, you know, I wasn't going to be able to do anything all by myself. And so, you know, I think my rationale for that was, well, let's go nuclear then, you know, and that was kind of where I was at. That was the strongest statement I could make, you know, walking away.
Right. It was a strong statement, man. And again, I'm sad that you had to do it, and I am appreciative that you hit that button, because yeah, what can you do? And we were talking just a little bit before the show, but yeah, man, I have some regrets about not getting involved here earlier. In fact, you know, one of the sources of a lot of this anguish asked me recently, well, why didn't you get in here years earlier? I'm like, because I had to wait to get a team together to be formidable for you. And I mean, that's the truth. The only reason that we were successful is because I got to meet a lot of great people at that Jorgensen event. And I went, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Noticed your work. Noticed you. Oh, what do you guys want to get over here next week and talk about stuff? And that's what we did. So I met people in real life, and we made it happen.
Yeah, and over the course of planning the convention, you know, I had a lot of great conversations with folks, you know, from the caucus who were just bent on making this the best convention that the Libertarian Party of Delaware has ever had. And, you know, there were a lot of suggestions put up. And for context, this year was the first convention that we were planning and putting together where we were going to have to pay significant amounts of our members' money out of pocket in order to put on the convention. And so, but being that most of our new members were the ones who were being the most forceful about, all right, we want it here, we want these folks to come and speak. I'm like, all right, well, look, you know, I mean, you guys are new. You know, there's a little bit of a, you know, process of feeling out the party feeling out the new members, things like that. But I mean, ultimately, if you want to make this happen, you have to put your money where your mouth is. And damn, I mean, the MC folks just showed up in spades. You know, if I remember right, there was very little, if any, paid out of the operating fund for putting on the convention. And so the whole thing was crowdsourced by Delaware libertarians who just wanted to put on an amazing event. And so, I mean, it's
Liberty Speaks was awesome. It was great.
I heard it was awesome. So, but yeah, so, I mean, it was a great event. Unfortunately, some of the friction that we had was just, like I said, I couldn't sit there and keep trying to check all these behaviors and, not get listened to and allow the board to kind of reinforce that hostile environment. So, I think, and I think that my resignation kind of gave the board a chance to, if not regroup and kind of recollect themselves a little bit, gave them at least a chance to focus on, all right, well, our state chair is gone. What do we do now? So that, everything got done and,
Yeah. I thought it was odd. This was my first convention and nobody mentioned it. We're without Sean, who's been with us for 4 years because, nobody gave an opinion pro, or it was just like, pro, negative, nothing. No one mentioned it. I was like, why are we pretending? Do you think that there are people in this party who have held it back, who have kept it a small social club? I'm talking about the state party.
Not intentional.
Okay.
I have to give props to everybody I've worked with on the state board. They're all phenomenal people. They are all dedicated to making the party successful. But I think sometimes when you've been the only people involved in the party for at least a decade, I think
right.
sometimes, there's a little bit of burnout. There's that proprietary mindset where, this is my baby. I'm going to take care of it. I don't want to see people mess it up. And I think a lot of that was, motivated by, an attempted takeover we had probably about 3 years ago now, and it's unfortunate that we can't see that event and an influx of new and motivated members as two completely different situations.
So, dude, we have to get into this because this is where I think the rubber really meets the road, and I think that a lot of people will get a lot out of this. Yes, I have heard the name Angry Beaver Caucus so many times, and these people in the party now, as you alluded to, view the Mises Caucus people as almost, we're the exact same thing. So it is apparent to me, I know how trauma works. You've been hurt. I know. But they're looking to us. It's like being a new boyfriend of like a woman that's been battered. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm not going to hurt you. So I understand.
Sure.
At the same time, though, again, it's incumbent on them, not to us, to prove that we are not, some kind of hostile takeover. Which again, right. This is where everybody watching now, I assume, knows everything that happened in New Hampshire this past week. But what they probably don't know, man, is that was not unprecedented. So let's talk about the Angry Beaver Caucus. From what I can tell, and I went to this guy's page. I looked up a little bit. I've heard a little bit from different people, but again, you're the guy to talk to. But This guy looks like he was a Trump Republican, not a libertarian. I couldn't find any shred of libertarianism from his page, but whatever. He said, I think he even had some memes that were awfully made that said libertarians for Trump. I'm like, you asshole. You can't just take the logo, take the things and say, this is what we're doing. So I see that too. And I would go, if I was hanging out with you guys, then would go, yeah, we got to do whatever the fuck we have to do to get this guy to stop what he's doing. But he was in the party with you guys. He was trying to make that work. Tell me what that was like, man. What was that experience like?
Well, it's interesting. There were four individuals who were either currently or previously involved in the party. And the main instigator, his name was Dan Beaver. And that's where we got the name Angry Beaver Caucus. And, these guys, started coming to meetings and everything was copacetic for a while. One of the other individuals is Ed Zielinski, who has since come around and said, "Whoa, what did I get involved in? I'm sorry for everything I did in the incident," and he's gotten involved in the Newcastle County Party again. And so, we're definitely glad to have him back and working with us in good faith. But Dan Beaver was the state chair back in the mid 90s, I think. And after coming to a few county meetings, he decided that it wasn't being run the way he wanted it. And so he started, pinching a fit. He came to the state convention where I was elected chair. And unfortunately, I was at a funeral that day, so I was elected in absentia. And, he was raising points of order, doing a lot of parliamentary shenanigans and just causing problems. And it got to the point where he filed his own political parties, Libertarian Party of Delaware Incorporated, as well as 3 county affiliates, and said, "All right, well, look, we're the real Libertarian Party of Delaware." Apparently,
did the state give him any pushback for that?
No.
Wow.
No. And his justification for saying that was back in the 80s. I guess there was a Libertarian Party of Delaware Incorporated, which was set up to hold real assets for the actual real Libertarian Party of Delaware. And it went defunct a long time ago. And he paid the back fees on it, reincorporated it, made it live again, and they held their own state convention. They elected their own nominees, their own officers, and things like that.
Wow.
They did it. They did it about a month before we actually had our convention. And so, we went through a process outlined in Robert's rules for disciplining members. Went from admonishment all the way up to, we eventually ended up suspending the memberships of all 5 individuals for the period of 5 years. And ultimately what ended up happening was we were at a state board meeting talking about it. And I said, look, these guys just want attention. At this point, Nadine Frost was our U.S. Senate candidate. The commissioner of elections hadn't listed her because there was this, well, who's the real Libertarian Party of Delaware thing. And I said, all right, well, let's focus on the real issue here. Let's get our candidates on the ballot. I'd encourage everybody in the party just to ignore all of the comments. They were basically internet trolling, calling us fakertarians, dragging up people's legal histories, just being generally nasty. And I'm like, look, if they're doing it for attention, you starve a fire by, cutting off the oxygen. So you stop responding to them and focus on what's important, then it'll fix itself. And ultimately it ended up working out like that. In the process, we ultimately got what we wanted. We sued the elections commissioner, Elaine Manlove, for a writ of mandamus, where we asked the Superior Court of the state of Delaware to force her to do her job and say, all right, well, we're obviously the real Libertarian Party of Delaware. You have to put our candidates on the ballot. You have to entitle us to use the title, the figure, and the device of the party, which she wasn't doing. So she got served papers notifying her office of the writ of mandamus, and the next day Nadine Frost was on the ballot. The Attorney General for the state of Delaware decided to send us letters telling us to drop our lawsuit. Otherwise, they'd try and come after us for legal fees for, pursuing a frivolous suit in Superior Court. And we're like, no, because she only went halfway, and we're gonna see this through. And one of those individuals, I think it's the same individual that you were referencing earlier, actually helped us through the legal process.
He's a brilliant guy.
Oh, he's phenomenally brilliant.
He's just a real piece of shit.
No, I'm not even going to go that far. I think he's, like I said, I think his passion is just overruling his reason. And, I think he needs to take a breath, watch our new leadership and work, and then make a better informed decision. But ultimately, we showed up in front of the Superior Court. We had Judge Ramos. We presented our case. The AG presented their case. And we got the AG asked the judge to dismiss the case for lack of cause. And ultimately, we lost, but we got everything we wanted. And the reason I say that is because Judge Ramos dismissed the case, but in his opinion, he stated from a legal standpoint that we are the Libertarian Party of Delaware. We have continuity of leadership through the elections office, and that, anybody else who comes along and says that, well, now they're the Libertarian Party of Delaware, they have no right to it.
Cool.
So the party is protected from a similar event in the future.
Let me ask you this. If
Sure.
the establishment, if the situation were reversed, #New Hampshire, and the establishment of the party was like, well, I don't know, this group over here said some really mean tweets, so we'd like to, separate from them and create something else. So I'm obviously making a comparison between this
New
and
Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Right.
So how do you feel about that, man? Do you, I mean, you don't, I guess, how should we nail this down? Should either an insurgency from an outside group or the established order within the party be able to unilaterally section off?
I gotta be honest. I'm kind of torn. And the way I'm sitting here looking at it, if the national party wants to disassociate with an affiliate for cause, they're entirely within their right to do so. We advocate for freedom of association. But and I haven't gotten too deep into the weeds in New Hampshire, but from what I've seen, it looks like a state chair or a former state chair and our national chair have made some decisions for the entire party without the consent of their governing boards. That's unacceptable, and I'm pretty sure there are mechanisms. I'm not sure what New Hampshire's bylaws say, if their bylaws or articles of association provide any kind of protection for the membership in case something like this were to happen. But even absent bylaws or AOAs, there's a legal process. I'm sure it's going to come out in the wash in the end. And in the meantime, I know that the Region 5 chair, Susan Hogarth, was seeking input from the state chairs in her region on what was going on, and they had a meeting. And so I think the LNC, the whole committee, is taking a very close and serious look at this. And I'm hoping that they come up and, make the right decision. And I'd caution people that when you have a deliberative body like that, it takes time. It takes time to hash certain things out, especially with the gravity that the situation has. So, I'd just say, be patient. If you're going to involve yourself in the process, do it in a positive manner. I think the last thing that we need is to, circle the wagons within the party and start flinging arrows at each other.
I do agree with that, man. And like I said, when we met a few years back, you were cool with anybody who was whatever caucus or caucus less. Cool, man. I'm trying to build the party up. But would you not agree that when you are met with, and I want unity, Radical Caucus, Mises Caucus, Pride Caucus, cool, man. Everybody's cool in my book until you call me a Nazi, and then I'm going to go for the jugular because I feel like there's no negotiating with that.
So like I was saying, when we were dealing with the Beaver Caucus, when you have people doing things like that, every time you give it attention, you're fanning the flames, you're feeding the fire. So,
when you're dealing with a guy who's been in the party for 12 years and has the ear of everyone, and then you wonder why the board hates the new people, it's probably because one person is providing all the information for all of the friends that he's had around him for 10 to 12 years. So we don't get a chance to again, I'm not trying to prove myself to anyone. To be honest with you,
sure.
I could give a shit what anyone thinks about me. I'm here to work, not for a social club. The friends that I get out of this are just bonuses, and we're already making friendships and connections. But that's not why I'm doing this. It's not why I podcast. It's not why I do 10 Zoom calls a week. You know what I'm saying? I know you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want to talk just a little bit more, man, about the Angry Beaver thing. Did this guy have anything good to say? Was he at all libertarian, or was he literally a Republican trying to take the party?
He may have been a libertarian once upon a time, but I mean, just the overt tactics, being obnoxious and dilatory during meetings, things like that. I mean, pardon. I don't know. I try not to, make individual judgments about people's personalities specifically, but we have to deal with the behaviors of certain individuals, and we ignored them for about 6 months, and eventually they're like, well, this isn't working, so they closed their political party, their Libertarian Party of Delaware Incorporated, and they went home. And we got our success in Superior Court by focusing on the real enemy, the state. And, and that's the big problem when we have situations like these come up. The more we have to focus on internal issues within the party, that's less time that we're focusing on the state and, dismantling the oppression and the theft and all of the, domestic espionage, things like that. I mean, we still have the Delaware Information Analysis Center. It's an NSA hub that sits there and aggregates data from, private Delawareans who have no suspicion of, being a criminal, and they're still collecting this data on us. We have a $5 billion a year budget and over $17 billion in unfunded liabilities. And that's putting like a $32,000 weight on the shoulders of every man, woman, and child in the state of Delaware. I mean, I think everybody in these situations, we have to focus on our priorities, and it has
dude, I'm with you.
Yeah, no,
I'm with you on that.
And so, when we engage in these, tete-a-tete, social media battles, it distracts from what we're really trying to do.
So I'm certain that libertarians are the ones that should understand this, that you can be whatever cultural bend you want. I don't care if you wear a trucker hat or a pussy hat or a cowboy hat or a fedora hat, but you get to come in. You get to come into the party and we get to, engage together. It's just because, man, we got a party with pro-life and pro-choice people. It's going to be harder. It's going to be harder. So we should just come to grips with that. It's just a fruitless battle to keep it all liberal or keep it conservative. And that's what, honestly, man, out of his own mouth, that's what he's trying to do.
I don't agree with him, but at the same time, I agree with him. And the reason I say that is because, the state's blue. And so if we're going to, bring people over to libertarian ideals, it's going to have to be, hey, we were pro-gender and sexual minorities before the Republicans or the Democrats were. We're pro-police accountability. We have to be able to highlight all of the things that, the Democrats propose, but, somehow just never get around to because they're shoo-ins for their office and they just want to do, token resolutions that make people feel good and vote for them again in November, Yeah. So there's some truth to that mindset, I have a really good friend, Dr. Steve Newton, and he's a pretty far left liberal, and I've talked to him.
I know Steve. He's been a real asshole to me. I know Steve.
Well,
brilliant, like the other guy, but kind of a dick.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe it's just me being the state chair and being kind of the spokesman for the party and a gubernatorial candidate. But I'm a dick too. It's just,
I've never seen it. You better work harder at that. I've never seen it. It didn't take. I don't even know if I met this guy in person before he was a dickhead. But again, man.
Well, I did call John Carney a fetid sack of bung slime on his official governor page, but
this is quality messaging,
right?
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's where we're all on the same page.
So, but he and I we disagree on the role of the free market in education, and social services, and everybody's shaped by their own life experiences, by what they've seen work and not work. And, I have, Steve Newton, he's a doctor of history at Delaware State University. He holds people accountable for, sources and messaging and things like that for, accuracy and whatnot. But during those times where we disagree, we've gotten into it, but it's always been pretty amiable. But we have to learn how to play nice in the sandbox with each other. I'm probably as far away as you can get from an anarcho-communist, but I can sit there and look at the Amish or the Hutterites and see how localizing an economy or localizing an educational system, breaking it down into smaller and more accessible units is only going to be more beneficial for everybody involved in that. And so, my advice to Dr. Lepore, and to anybody else who's dealt with, folks like that is, hey, find the common ground. It's there somewhere, and, work on that. And then, from that common ground, you can build even more.
That's true, man. And I need to take some of that advice really to heart because, like I said, my way is usually don't bring a fart to a shit fight. If you call me something awful, I'll crush you. That's how I roll. So again, I'm trying to be more diplomatic, even to people who I think don't deserve it. That's the real test.
Right.
So, but you're right about that, man. This is about me maintaining my chi, not letting these fucking demons mess my day up.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that when you're elected to a position within a party, you're now responsible for representing those people that elected you. And so,
What if 6 of them voted NOTA? Oh, I know every one of yous. I'm just kidding.
I love NOTA. I really do. He and I are
it's
best
a
friends,
tradition that we love and we cherish. And Nick, the former chair of the party, lost a local treasurer position to NOTA. So, man, talk about accomplishments in just a couple years' time. That's how it works.
Right, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to messaging, libertarians are kind of funny. Ideologically, we're all right. Regardless of if it's arguing with another libertarian or Republicans or Democrats, no matter what, we're right. We've done the research.
We win no elections, but we win all the debates. That's the
absolutely. That's and I don't get why we can't do that. But our messaging is where we really get hung up on. And I mean, you were talking about
there was just a war over it in New Hampshire, dude. That's what this is all about, man. Or at least a great portion of it.
Talking about child labor. I mean, and it's
so you'd not give that a 4-star tweet, I imagine.
Do you remember Arvind Vorha?
Yes. I was just coming in at that time, but yeah, I was like,
I can't remember a single thing that he said that philosophically I didn't agree with. But the whole shitstorm surrounding that guy was all in his presentation and messaging. And
I'm with you.
That's where you lose people. I mean, I've got a 17-year-old and an 11-year-old, and my 17-year-old has had a damned hard time finding a job. And Delaware just increased the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Guess what? Sorry, kids. It's going to suck to be you because there's going to be fewer jobs out there, and those jobs are going to go to people who have more experience than you do. So you're going to have a harder time entering the job force. So, I mean, I am obviously in favor of child labor law reform because I think it's bullshit that my 11-year-old can't go out and, learn a valuable skill or, do things like that to prep her for the air quote real world. And, whether it's to supplement public education or whether it's, unschooling or whatever you want to call it, we need to do whatever we can to make it easier to prepare our children for their futures, as well as to free up the job market so that more people have good paying jobs. And in this whole argument, nobody's talking about the fact that a quarter of the American currency that's ever existed was just printed in 2020, whether it's ones and zeros or on paper. And, so the Federal Reserve is sitting there, stealing money from us by making shit more expensive.
They just keep on printing, man. Just keep that machine running.
That's right. But you know what? As long as I get my $7,000 stimulus check, I'm upset.
Yeah, right. So let's just spend one more minute on that messaging tip, man, and then I'll let you go because I kept you long enough. But I tend to believe, and I read that tweet, and New Hampshire, just for the record, that account used to really suck and get no attention. And then those guys came in March when they won duly elected positions and started crushing it on Twitter. Sometimes being edgy, sometimes being, borderline, right up there. So in the Mises Caucus group, somebody just said, it's a private conversation. What did you guys think about that tweet? So I gave, my opinion, which was, I'm sure edgelords loved it because it was really edgy. It grabbed you. I'm sure it's going to cause a shitstorm, which is good for business, I guess. If I would have typed it out, I would have just skipped the top line, legalize child labor, and I would have just went right to, a kid will learn more on the job site than he would with this. But I have to end it with saying, my tweet wouldn't get shared thousands of times. Right. So it is this thing that I believe deserves nuance. And there is, push it to the limit, but don't go over the limit kind of thing. And like you said, man, there's a time and a place. So it's like, in discussion amongst bros, you can have these things. But you probably, in the midst of an election season, maybe put some stuff on the back burner. Even Ron Paul said, you don't want to go and start with Social Security when you're trying to sell liberty to a boomer.
Right,
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's really the hard thing with the social media phenomena, is that it goes out to everybody, and regardless of who you're trying to target in it, and we're flooded with so much information that if you want to get those kind of numbers on your reach, sometimes you have to tweet outrageous things. And I mean, liberty is outrageous. It's a radical idea. Oh my God, people being responsible for themselves, being self-sufficient, and promoting voluntary cooperation in our communities. God forbid. But at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's the same kind of stuff that brought us Donald J. Trump. And I mean, it was.
Can we get out of that though, man? I mean, we're in that. So it's like, I'm not saying we should break the nap in any way, but if that's where we're at, if we're in that realm where we have to throw some mud around, at least in the Twitter sphere, this isn't like even Libertarian Twitter is kind of the Thunderdome where people go at it. And like you said, man, like I've seen lots of stuff out of New Hampshire, and I don't know if I've disagreed with anything. I might go, ooh, shit, like that one. If it hit me, I know it's going to hit somebody, some NPC a certain way. But out of Kentucky, out of New Hampshire, these guys are getting like big donations for their tweets. So I have a problem being where we're at in a battle for the soul of the party, where a big portion of that is messaging, and then before we're even there, go, well, maybe slow down a bit. It's like, well, are we here to fight for radical free speech or not? Or is that what, or God forbid, what the Libertarian Party's Twitter has been up to since I've been following it for 4 years, which is just neutered. Yeah. Neutered, man. It's nothing. It's got nothing. And it makes people think that that's what they can't have the word libertarian. It's in the name. If you didn't put it in your name, I really wouldn't care what you did. But it's in the name, so it has to be that. Right. And I would tell that to Tho Bishop, man. The Libertarian Party, when done properly, will make Republicans better because we'll liberty harder. We'll make it look cooler. So you guys can go, oh, yeah, maybe not recreational nukes, but, fully automatic. You know what I mean? That's what that'll do.
Oh, sure.
So
maybe I'm just a crusty old fart, and I've been. No,
you're a radical, man.
I'm worn out on social media and all these newfangled technologies, and
I get it.
But I mean, I think that we're going to get a lot more substantive reach when we're actually out there and doing things in our own communities. I mean,
we're booking it, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
we're doing it. We're having barbecues booked, parties booked. We're already working on Liberty Speaks too. Things are going to change now, man. It makes me very sad that you're not a part of this because I think that you would love it.
Well, I'm not saying I'm not a part of it. I'm still a member of the party. I'm still a lifetime libertarian member.
My man.
But
you are moving, correct? Out of the state?
In about 4 or 5 years.
Oh, okay. That's way longer than I had anticipated.
Yeah. So
all right, cool.
I'm still around. I'm still going to be kicking it with my libertarian peeps, and I hope I said that right. When I show up, I'll be on fleek. Dope,
no doubt.
Dope faux shizzle. But I mean, no, it's an ideology that I believe in. We have to look at changing the culture, and I don't think anybody has their opinions changed on Twitter or Facebook. So the only way we're going to be able to do that is going out and talking with our neighbors and friends.
You go to Twitter to clean house, bro. That's what I'm doing, cleaning house.
Yeah,
but you're right. Engage with the community. I'm with you, man. Please, stop by and let me make you some chicken and waffles soon, man. Let's hang out. And
are you guys open on Sundays?
I am open on Sundays. We do big brunch. I made Spike and his wife breakfast 2 Sundays ago.
That's right. I think I saw pictures of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
man, please come by. And yeah, man, before you get out of here, I really appreciate you coming. Thank you for your activism. Thank you for being so principled and even,
absolutely.
and for your time that you've dedicated to the party and to the cause, dude. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me on. I definitely appreciate the chance to catch up a little bit and talk to you. Yeah, I was thinking about doing the whole show with shades on, but that's kind of your thing. But
that's right. We'll keep it over here. Only one gimmick per guy. Dude,
man.
Thank you so much.
Hey, not a problem. It's good to talk to you.
You too, man. Everybody, that is Sean Goward. Go check out teespring.com. Buy my t-shirts and hoodies and fanny packs and coffee cups. And support the Mises Caucus. Support, support whatever caucus you want, man. But I'm here for you if you want to join with those meat caucus, baby. See you next time on Dave versus Goliath.
Now that the smoke's gone and the air